Welcome to Cram with Camila, where we cram for the RD exam. Let's continue our discussion on needs assessment and different educational and communication models. We'll probably be asked a question about pedagogy or andragogy. So let's figure out what that is. Pedagogy is teaching children. Andragogy is teaching adults. Remember that children, they see teachers as authority figures. Meanwhile, when we are working with adults, they are more like partners in learning, right? So you're not so much the authority figure as you would be learning together with them. Adults, they're gonna be focused on problem solving. So they are more problem-centered and subject-centered than children would be. And their motivation is more internal. So we know that adolescents, when you are talking to them, try to relate to them, but also consider that they will have peer pressure and they will have a different sort of attitude towards authority than children or adults would have. When we are working with the elderly, written material is always useful. Of course, keep the lettering if you're doing a PowerPoint, for example, where a certain fonts that will be easy to read. And also engage the audience. That way you keep them entertained and you keep them focused on what you are teaching them. Of course, stay on topic. Another thing that we need to take into consideration is economic status. So if somebody is of a lower income, they will be more focused on today rather than what their future brings. And they will also be very concerned when it comes to cost. If somebody is from a higher economic status, they are actually going to be more goal-oriented, and they will consider anything that they cannot relate to just a waste of time. When it comes to content development and evaluation, there are three different steps that we should take. The first step will be to evaluate the information that we have. After that, we have to put that information into some sort of organized logic, right? How do we organize that information so it's easier to give it to somebody? After that, we need to do a lesson plan, keeping objectives in mind, using different resources and references. Then we can evaluate the plan. Is this working? What should I change? What can I make better? How can I make this perhaps more concise or easier to understand? After that, we choose the method for delivery. So for example, are we going to use posters? Are we going to use PowerPoint, videos? And then you just go from there. Of course, for you to accomplish any of it, you would have to have a budget. So it's very important to plan the budget, and it's good to periodically analyze the budget and see where you are so you can plan and schedule things better. A budget is going to be closely linked to planning of your project. All of your expenses, of course, need to be accounted for, and you need to consider your funding sources. A program promotion is going to inform your consumer or clients about the service or the product. The different tools that we can use to do that include sales promotion, personal promotion, public relations, advertising. Let's break them down. Starting with advertising. In advertising, you can target the message to your audience with different types of media. That could be electronic media or printed media. When we think about sales promotion, just think something that's temporary to increase the sales of a product. For example, using temporary coupons for something. Personal promotion could be something formal or informal. It could be, for example, a media interview, could be cooking demonstrations or participating in, say, health fairs. The goal of public relations is to give you a favorable image. That could be through goodwill or even news coverage. Multicultural awareness is going to be very important when you are thinking about your setting and your audience. It's important that we evaluate our own beliefs and attitudes so we better understand our clients. This will help us be comfortable with our differences and not assume things based on biases. Ineffective communication can lead to non-compliance and an incorrect diagnosis. So how do you improve your communication? One of the first steps would be to assume that there are differences between you instead of just thinking, oh, they think just like I do. Also, it's important to avoid stereotyping. So focus on the description that they're giving you for something instead of making assumptions or trying to interpret everything that they are telling you. That when it comes to different cultures, methods of communicating will be different. So for example, some cultures, they may speak louder, some cultures speak softer, some people focus on eye contact, some people may think that that is disrespectful. Expressions, some cultures are more reserved when it comes to expressions, some are not. Even something as simple as a handshake may vary from culture to culture. So, good posture, no matter the culture, usually will be perceived as a sign of respect. Another thing that varies between cultures is personal space, or perhaps let's call it spatial relationships. So for example, on average, between you and your friends, a good, say, 18 inches will be ideal. That's called the intimate zone. When it comes to a personal zone, will be anywhere from 18 inches to 4 feet. So for example, when you're working closely with someone, a social zone will be 4 feet to 12 feet. And that's what you're gonna see most in business interactions. Now, say you're doing a presentation or, for example, a very formal setting, that will be called a public zone, and that's usually greater than 12 feet. When we work with people that have limited speaking ability in regards to the language, so for example, if somebody has limited English speaking skills, there are some things that we need to keep in mind. We should avoid jargon and slang. Also speak clearly and in a way that's easy to understand. Don't overcomplicate things. I am 100% sure that there was a practice question that I saw where they were asking if you're talking to somebody that doesn't speak English very well, what would be a good thing to do? And I remember that the answer was showing them food models, because that way, even if they don't understand everything that you're saying, when they can see what a cup would equal, they can visualize that better. Another thing that may help would be infographics or posters or things in writing that are easier to sort of figure out what it's saying. Of course, always speak directly to the client. That's should be a no-brainer, right? You want to talk to someone, you don't want to be talking to somebody like looking at something else, because that just would show that you're not really interested, you're not really present in that interaction. That's it.